Hi, everyone. My name's Nikki McKechnie, and I'd like to welcome you all to Sable's webinar today. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few things. For those of you who are new to our webinars, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a question and answer tab. At the end of the webinar, Ruben will be hosting a live question and answer session, so please feel free to type in anything that you would like to ask us today. Also, just you might have noticed, everybody is muted and your cameras are turned off, so we aren't able to see you. I'm going to just wait a couple more minutes or a couple more moments, and then I'll do an introduction to Ruben. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. I'd like to introduce Sable's President and CEO, Ruben Padilla.
Thank you very much, Nikki, and welcome one more time to all the shareholders that participate in our series of webinars. This webinar is to give you an update on the last press release of 4 holes that we put a couple of days ago. Drill holes that were completed at El Fierro project in Argentina. One more time again, just to remind where El Fierro is located. Located on the blue polygons that you see up here in the image. 46,000 hectares is located north of our La Poncha project and also north of the Don Julio and Los Pumas project. We have a very good land position now in San Juan. You can see along this mineral belt in green. And we have 128, almost 129,000 hectares in this part of Argentina. Work started in El Fierro in October and drilling in early February. We completed MAC IP and IP, which have been proved to be very useful to follow, to explore for these veins in terrain that is largely covered by very thin colluvial material. We started a few kilometers of vein known, and we are well over now 8.5 kilometers of veins that we have discovered following boulders of mineralized rock, following few outcrops, some small old workings, and also geophysical trenching. That exploration process has been very dynamic. Basically, what we have been doing is finding the veins and drilling right away, so many times without having results from those veins, geochemical results. So the goal was in this early stage has been to try to discover which ones are the main order structures or the structures that have more continuity and grade. So we can, if we have success with that, we can define 2 or 3 of those kind of structures. In this type of deposits of vein system, intermediate sulfidation, 2 or 3 structures of main order structure can carry on their shoulders most of the value of the project. So that's very important to define the main order structures. Now, we completed so far 23 holes. We're drilling hole 224 right now, almost 2,800 meters. A lot of the, more than 900 samples have been taken. 7 holes completed at Fierro Bajo. 6 holes completed in La Vein, in La Verde vein, that has been a new discovery. And 2 in the new area that we discovered 2.5 kilometers north of La Verde that we call Lagunitas. And one on Fierro Alto, right here. We have 6 holes in La Verde and 7 holes in secondary structures, other secondary structures in the area La Verde, between La Verde and Lagunitas. We received results from 6 holes so far. We published the results of one and 2 few weeks ago. And today we are releasing 4 holes, 3, 4, 5 from Fierro Bajo and 8 from La Verde. The one that is really, we're making us really happy is this little hole from La Verde. La Verde has, specifically the place where we drill, has a very small workings there. With we took some samples on the area that was mined by the old miners. In that case, 0.65 meters or 1.2 kilo equivalent silver. Something that I've been uh, saying this in the last two webinars, that we know now that La Verde has gold, which is different than what happened in Fierro Bajo, that has high silver but doesn't have gold with the sulfide mineralization. So the intersection that we reported was 550 grams silver equivalent over almost 10 meters, including 3.7 meters of 1.4 kilo silver equivalent, or 1.45 or 1.5 kilo, and a very high core zone of 0.5 meters with 4.4 silver equivalent. That intersection is around 80 meters, 85 meters below surface. And you can see the good thing here in these veins is that minerals, the grade is coming out from the surface. No, so we don't have to be trying to define deep mineralization at the beginning, because the mineralization is outcropping. So this is a very good result from La Verde, the first hole. This is the way the mineralization looked like. In the hanging wall, we have a strong zone of chlorite and illite with adularia. And that zone contained also magnetite, specularite, and some sphalerite and galena. And that one sample from this upper part is the one that has the 49, almost 50 grams per ton gold. And the rest of the vein is formed by banded and semi-banded quartz vein. The quartz is saccharoidal, granular, and the quartz also has adularia overgrowing with the quartz, and is dominantly sphalerite more than galena, very fine grain, and a little bit of chalcopyrite, but always exuding from the sphalerite, no free chalcopyrite. We also recognize here some sulfosalts of antimony and silver and gold. Is tetrahedrite, probably also tennantite. So that's the kind of mineralization that we see in the vein. And the foot wall of the vein is faulted, post-mineral faulted, and you can see pieces of the vein or the vein that it has been faulted and brecciated. So it has hole number 8. Now, in this figure, you can see the extension now of the Verde vein from hole number 8 to hole number 22. We drill number 8, 21 and 17, 18 and 11, 22, and then we have a sample along a strike with a vein of 4.4 kilos silver equivalent. So this basically gives us 1.5 kilometers of continuity along a strike of this vein. A very good discovery, because at the beginning we only knew one small outcrop in hole number 8, in the area around hole number 8. As you can see also, the IP, the chargeability here is also helping us a lot to define these veins, the continuity of these veins. The style of mineralization is epithermal intermediate sulfidation, has 2 to 5% sulfides. The geochemistry is characterized by gold, silver, some zinc, lead, and some copper, and also has associated anomalies of bismuth, antimony, arsenic, and moly. The structural control are transcurrent, or their fault is west fault, affecting Miocene volcanic rocks. In this case, the old workings are very few. No, it's not like a Fierro Bajo, it has a lot more workings. And the potential then now is very good, because we have 1.5 kilometers of this vein outcropping, sub-outcropping. We know the extension at depth almost to 100 meters now, and very robust structure. So that's La Verde. In Fierro Bajo, we drill, you can see in this map, that's hole number 1 and 2 that we published a few weeks ago. Very good intersection with high grade values. We drilled to the south, hole number 3. We hit the structure with anomalies in silver and the other elements, but the structure, it has less than 50 grams in this case, but the structure is there. That's natural in these veins. I don't worry much because I know that we have good samples on the surface. So we just need to drill more holes. That is the typical behavior of this thing. We also published number 5, but 5 we lost for technical reason. We lost the hole. We had to re-drill the hole to hit this vein in here. And also we drill a parallel vein with number 4. A parallel vein only like 100 meters behind. This is the A vein, the one that has discontinuity. And we had a very good intersection also here of 850 grams silver equivalent over 0.5 meters. So we're getting now in Fierro Bajo. It's very good because we have a structure that we can follow with good drilling of for about 500 meters. And because of the surface evidence that we see, we think that we can probably going to have this structure going for 850 meters along a strike. And so this is a one of between this A structure that we see here in El Fierro Bajo y La Verde, en La Verde, we have 2 of those main order structures that we were basically trying to discover before we finish this first drill campaign. So very good to have the A vein, and also very good to have La Verde vein. We still have a lot of other veins, but we need to start identifying which ones are the first order structures. The style of mineralization in Fierro Bajo is very different than the one that we see in La Verde. We don't have gold in those veins. It's high-grade silver with lead, some zinc, sometimes copper. We also have the antimony arsenic association showing the presence of sulfur salts. So they share something on the geochemistry and the bismuth and the sulfur salts, but they share high-grade silver, but the different they have less they don't have gold like in La Verde, and they have more lead and zinc in these veins, and in the ones in La Verde we have more zinc than lead, showing probably some kind of vertical zoning, as this probably being a deepest part of the epithermal system, and La Verde being the highest part in the epithermal system, the higher elevation, the upper part of the structure. The potential is to have here various ore shoot, high grade, and with a good vertical extension, because in many places, this sulfide-rich carbonate type of mineralization have very good vertical extension. Something very interesting that we mentioned in the last press release is that we found a structure that is parallel to A vein. We hit now in almost in the 4 holes. And this mineralization is very different. You can see this is more fine-grained chalcedonic silica, hydrothermal breccia, and it has anomalies of gold of ppbs from anywhere from 20 ppbs to 300, 400 ppbs of 0.4 gram gold, and also arsenic anomalies, so like an upper level epithermal. But interesting, these things are coexisting at the same elevation, which is telling us that there is a second pulse of mineralization. This probably the mineralization you see on the left was probably formed at depth, uplifted, and then we have a new pulse that is younger and with more gold and less silver, upper epithermal level, and has the chance to have bonanza grades underneath that we are going to drill here. Very interesting to see this overprinting of 2 different events at the same, occurring at the same elevation. Now we drill other holes that are coming probably in a week or 2 weeks in the secondary structures. We now know there are secondary structures. At the beginning, when we started drilling, we didn't know if La Verde was the primary structure, or Rosa, or Negra, or Azul. So we drill, now we know the one that has continuity is La Verde. And so we drill a few holes in those secondary structures that will help with time to put more ounces. And the Blanca down here has not been drilled. And we decided to drill the Almendra vein in the Lagunitas area because we didn't have any geochemistry there, but it looks really nice. It's a different elevation, higher elevation than La Verde, but I think we think that we have another parallel structure now, parallel to La Verde, with a even less erosion in the vein. So we put one hole here, hole 19. It has a very nice intersection. You can see here on the right that's the intersection that we had in the vein, and these are the outcrop that we see along that structure there. So we have a good chance that this structure can become the first order structure in the district. Now, we know now that we are happy for the kind of high grade material that we find in this epithermal system. We're also happy for having so many kilometers of mineralized veins, and also recognizing at least two main order structures that can carry the property, the value of the project in the future. The question that we have now is how the vertical extension of the mineralization. Something that we don't know in this moment, the only thing that we know is to go to 100 meters because that's the kind of drilling that we have so far. But there are reasons for us to be encouraged about and optimistic about the vertical extension. You can see in this graph here, in the vertical axis is meters above sea level. So La Verde is at 3,700 meters above sea level. Fierro Alto 4,200, La Verde 4,600, and Lagunitas 4,800. So we have 1.1 kilometer of the vertical elevation in an area of 8 by 6 kilometers. And every time that we find a structure, the structure is mineralized. So we are not finding something that we say from down to this elevation, the mineralization disappeared. So we have a reason to be optimistic that maybe Lagunita will go into something like La Verde, and La Verde can go something like a Fierro Bajo, and Fierro Bajo into something like El Fierro Bajo. So, but that's the question that we need to answer with the next drilling that we're going to have. And in conclusion, so far, we definitely are defining a district scale vein field with Fierro Bajo, Fierro Alto, hosted by the Paleozoic metasedimentary rocks, more base metals, less gold. La Verde and Lagunitas hosted by the volcanic Miocene rocks, gold and silver high. In this case, more silica associated, more probably upper level in the epithermal system. Successfully, we have recognized two main order structures and maybe a third one in the Lagunitas area. And then we still have a large part of the land package that we had of 46,000 hectares to be underexplored. So those are the results so far. That's the update from La Verde. I was there for 3 weeks. I came back this week, the last weekend. We visited all the properties. You can see there on the bottom, you just see that on Julio, we are flying with a drone, the magnetometer there. We completed over a little bit more than 400 kilometers of max survey. And also we did a lot of more regional reconnaissance in the large land package that we have. In La Poncha is a great property. We have, you can see the alteration there. We have 2 porphyry centers with gold copper potential. Some of the old holes recognized where they were not described by the people that drilled, but they definitely drill into porphyry system. Those kind of veins are typical of porphyry system. So it was a very successful trip, and we are closing this field season in May. And then we will be back to the field hopefully in September to do all the preparation to continuous drilling and prepare La Poncha for drilling also on Julio. And that's it. Thank you very much. We can go to the questions, Nikki, if you want.
Okay. First question. For next year's drill program, besides delineating further near surface mineralization, will you be testing the vein systems at depth?
Yeah, this is a question for Mark. Just Mark, that we are going to do that. That's the plan now. The first plan was to identify at least a couple of the main order structures that I mentioned before. So I didn't want to be drilling deep holes until we understood which ones were the main structures. I don't want to drill deep holes at the beginning and secondary structures. So now that we know which ones are those, at least in Fierro Abajo, the A vein and La Verde, we're going to start drilling to 150 and 250 meters below surface to test continuity. Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay. Although very early, it seems possible that the mineralization is intensifying at depth.
It's difficult to say that because really, La Verde is a 4,600 meters above sea level, and specifically in the place of La Verde from the mineralization that was on surface and the one we see now, yes, is higher in that specific case. But in Fierro Bajo, it seems to be very, very homogeneous. No, we still have those close to a kilo silver or more than a kilo silver from surface to 100 meters. So I would say more than is interesting, but it seems to be very consistently strong.
Okay. When will the rest of the assay results be coming? We were expecting more than one result, as was mentioned in the last webinar.
We expect to have always come in the following week, but you know, we have something next week, but for sure the following week. I don't think the lab will be more slower than that. It's something that we don't control, unfortunately. And with regard to the number of holes that were expecting to be released, yes, we released more than one in this case. We released 4 holes in the last press release. And I think we're going to be releasing the batches as they come.
Okay. You mentioned before that El Fierro is an intermediate sulfidation vein system. Could you please explain what are the characteristics that define this type of systems and give few examples of this type of deposit?
Intermediate sulfidation is a term that was used originally. All these systems were called epithermal. That means that they form relatively close to surface. And Lindgren defined this deposit that were formed, I think, below 250 degrees, 280, and in the first kilometer of the cross. And then later through time, people got more sophisticated with the classification. And the epithermal deposit, they have more. There are 2 groups. The one have very low sulfides. In the case of this deposit, we had the high sulfidation that we're not going to mention here, but in this deposit that were called sericite adularia deposit are the one that have more sulfides, between 2 and 10% sulfides, more manganese, and it's characterized for tennantite tetrahedrite in the mineralogy. So it's very, very technically that thing. It's just the fact that it has more base metals and has more sulfides than the low sulfidation that characterize the veins that are in the Patagonia, for example, in Argentina. And then the question, the last part, there is a last part in the question. No?
Yes, hold on one second. The last part of the question is, what are the characteristics that define this type of systems, and give a few examples of this type of deposits?
There are great examples. No, the Fresnillo, for example, in Mexico, one of the largest silver deposit mining district in the world. Lately, for example, the great success of Las Chispas that has defined more than 120 million ounces of silver in narrow veins in Sonora, in Mexico. That's a good case. You know, I would say more Tayoltita in Mexico, is in Peru, the great deposits, Tonapa in Nevada. So it's a great numbers. Most of the large silver deposits of the world come from this type of veins.
Okay, next question. What does the addition of gold findings at La Verde do to your thinking about the underlying geology of the area?
Say that, can you read it again?
Yeah. What does the addition of gold findings at La Verde do to your thinking about the underlying geology of the area?
Yeah, I think my belief in this moment is that it's different level of erosion in a very, very robust, continuous mineralized epithermal system that has more base metals, less silica on and silver on the bottom of the system, like in la Fierro Bajo and Fierro Alto, and upper levels of the epithermal system that still have high-grade silver, but accompanied by gold. So that's what I think it is. We have to drill deep and keep drilling to see if we can find that everything is part of the same big hydrothermal event at the same time, and this is just vertical zoning. And because the different levels of erosion, we are seeing this difference in the presence of gold and no gold.
Okay, and final question. What is your plan for the next 6 months?
The next 6 months, let's count there. We finish in May drilling. So we will be waiting for more results probably in June, and we have a lot of samples that we took on surface also. We're waiting with the soils. So we can put a very good, we will be bringing results hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks for the drilling. In June, we can do a good wrap up of the whole project with all the information. And then July and August, the time to start planning, do the new contract with the drillers and get all the permits online, and move in September to reopen the camp and hopefully start drilling in October. That's the plan, say, in the next 6 months, and we want to come back with a drill campaign that is at least 10,000 meters. And if the drilling is going nice, we are prepared to extend this drilling to 50,000 meters in the next campaign. And this is just El Fierro, no? We have La Poncha also. We need to prepare for drilling, and Don Julio that is also going to be prepared. So we're very likely going to be drilling 3 projects in San Juan.
Okay, final question. Just wondering if there are any updates on Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, we have 40,000 hectares in Taipo. We finished drilling this campaign, the last campaign in Binata, which I still like the project. I think we're finding is geologically is challenging because we found a really nice 1 kilometer long, strong argillic alteration with good gold anomaly. But the best part of the system is following probably northwest structure into the valley that is covered by gravels that can go from few meters to 100 meters of the gravel. And the target is drilling through gravel is more complicated, it's more expensive. So in this moment, I need to decide what to do with Binata. Maybe one of those projects that will look for a partnership to share the risk and the investment in Binata. The rest of the properties, we are completing the systematic work to define new other drill targets in the 40,000 hectares that has title. And in the other property that we have in Mexico is 1 million hectares. Those are in application. If they have to go to title, and we are doing all the legal process that you have to do in these days in Mexico to move from application to title, and takes the time that is undefined, but we expect to have these titles by at least some of them by December. So what I would say in Mexico is that good that we have those projects in Argentina. We are advancing 3 in drilling, and in Mexico we are building the portfolio, and at the end of the year or no later than the first quarter of next year, Mexico will be bringing a very good projects also to the pipeline.
Okay, and I think that's actually it for questions. So,
yeah. Okay, so thank you very much one more time. Very happy. I think we should all be happy for those results. And I think the project is showing really, really good potential. And we will keep doing the right work to be the more efficient that we can to find really how big this deposit can be. Thank you very much, Nikki. Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.